said, as far as the religion thing, I was never on the religious boat. Now, it is game being dropped in religion. But to take everything literal, I think that's the mistake. Because no matter what religious text you follow, there are contradictions in it, in every religion. I can pick them out. And these stories that's in a lot of these religious books were around before the religion was even a thing, predated the religion itself. From the story of Jesus, the 12 disciples, like, I don't care what religion you want to go to, the story was around before that religion was a thing. So I got a whole nother bone to pick with religion, but I'm more of a spiritual person. I could take game from Buddhism. I could take game from the Muslims. I could take game from the Christians. If it applies and is logical and it's game, I'm gonna take it. Yeah. I ain't gonna be like, well, I'm a Christian, I can't listen to nothing a Catholic says. No, if a Catholic says some real shit, it's real shit if it applies. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all about what you believe in. Most religious people are only religious because that's the way they were raised.
That's a fact.
It's not like, okay, I studied Christianity, I studied the Muslims, I studied Buddhism, and I studied Jehovah's Witness. Okay, this one make the most sense. No, your parents were Christian, you're Christian. Your parents were Muslim, you're Muslim. It was forced on you. Damn near like a gang. I was raised in this neighborhood, so this is what I am. But fortunately for me, I wasn't forced to go to church. I was able to think outside the box. What they call them, indigo children. I knew as a kid, all right, something ain't totally right with this. Let me question everything. But as far as Lil Nas X, bro, it's for attention.
Nah, that's facts, man. And that's why I'm not big on too much on giving these niggas my attention, because sometimes you gotta let them fade off. Like you said, he's constantly trying to reinvent himself in any way. And most of these celebrities or so-called things that stay in the limelight, it does not matter what type of attention, whether it's positive or negative, it's in a good light for them. It's keeping them relevant. It's keeping them on a different space. And by us entertaining that, is the shit that they doing is actually working. So it's like, I don't really view him in no light, like you said. It don't even exist in my world. So to even get on this with him is crazy. But they doing it all for clicks at the end of the day. And that dude just, he out his brain to me, man. He out his brain, but they know what they doing, and they know who they targeting. So it's just like, you just gotta let people like that fade off. Yeah.
No, that's a fact. And how you said about, being young and not going to church. I had to go to church when I was younger, but once I hit a certain age, I was able to be like, nah, I'm not going no more. And the reason why I really stopped going and even when you're younger, you notice already, I don't want to say the fakeness in it, but the contradictions, right? Like, you notice people kind of waiting around for a miracle God, but not really doing anything in a real time to get what they want out of life. You notice that. You notice people in the church that talk down on others because, they have a higher position in the faculty. You notice a lot of things. You notice people having relations that are within the church itself. So you see a lot of contradictions. And then you start to, when you're reading the book, you start to say, well, how can you be this type of person and follow this when this has very strict rules, but you're over here doing this and that? Or how are you saying you're such a heavily devoted Christian on Sunday when the 11 o'clock service roll around, but a Saturday you're at the strip club? You feel me? So it's like, it doesn't really work that way. That's why you'll never see me be super religious, because I'm not going to follow the book to a T. That's why I say more spiritual. And I think that's what people get it messed up, is they try to live their life within the book, which is religion. And people are not perfect. So you're setting yourself up for failure. And I think that's why Christianity, again, I'm going to reiterate, is looked at as one of the weakest religions, because they allow this forgiveness to a certain point where it's like, well, there's no discipline in it whatsoever. And when you go and you read the book, he was disciplining niggas who was fucking up, like, at the end of the day. So you can't just do whatever you want and then have a path to it's just good to go because somebody told you that. When in the book, it don't really say that with certain things.
Yeah, that's my only gripe with religious people, is if you're going to follow this and judge other people by these quote unquote rules, you better be living them to the T. And you better be living them to the T of which it says, not the way you interpret it. Because if you saying God don't make mistakes and he used people to write this book, you ain't going to tell me, oh, he meant this. No, that's the way you trying to make it fit to your life. Because if you follow it exactly to the T, you doing the opposite. You get a lot of that. So you got a lot of people, like you said, living against what they actually believing in, but then judging other people based off of this. Like, oh my God, you doing this, you doing that. God said don't do this. Yeah, but I can name 10 things that God said don't do that you do. See, that's the problem with judging people. They say when you judge people, you're punishing them for agreements that they didn't agree to. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm not Christian and you judging me by Christian beliefs, you punishing me for some shit I didn't sign up for. If I'm not a Muslim and you judging me by the Quran, you punishing me for some shit I didn't agree to. I didn't agree to live by the rules of the Quran. I just said they got some dope shit in there. Yeah. Some of that shit do apply to life. Some of that shit does make sense. Some of that shit can help you further and get to success and live a more righteous life. But that don't mean I'm following everything to the T, because there's some shit in there I don't believe in. Yeah. It's some shit I don't agree with. And if I'm wrong and I got to answer to God for that, me and God to have a talk. So I mean, you know what I'm saying? If he don't make mistakes, he knew I was going to question it anyway before I did. So you know what I'm saying? Why would I get punished for that anyway?
And I don't understand, like, we're at a point now where everybody is so politically correct that you have preachers and pastors literally changing the word and how the word is interpreted to not offend certain groups of people. And I think that's dangerous because 10, 15 years ago, some of the things that are in these segments and sermons now were not in them back then. So now we're changing it to, you know what I mean, catch less flack, or your church might get canceled if somebody goes out there and delivers what is actually said in the book. And so again, where does the credibility come in where the book changes to what the people want? If this is something that was written, you know, before we were even around really, how can it change now that we're here? I just have a hard time with that. And that's why it's very fickle to me. And that's kind of why I just, you know, I stray away from it a little bit.